So I remember going into surgery and them saying to me, I remember saying I was afraid to wee because I was really busting to go to the toilet. Sorry, my belly's still a little bit sore. So yeah, so I went into surgery and I was like, they were asking me all the usual questions. And I remember they wheeled me into the actual surgical room, and other surgeries I've had before, they actually let you know when they're going to put you to sleep, where they kind of never, like I seen her putting the stuff in my cannula and I thought, she'll surely tell me when I'm going to sleep. And then she was like, okay, Tamina, you can shut your eyes now, you're going to sleep. And I was like, this is after. I already felt kind of funny and my eyes were heavy. So she told me after the fact instead of getting me prepared beforehand. And then I remember just trying to keep my eyes open for the longest time, and then I was out of it. So then this is when all the bad stuff started. So then I woke up in recovery and I looked at the time. And sorry, I can hear Darren out there. So I looked at the time and it was like, apparently I went in at 1:30 and it was like 5 o'clock. And I was like to the lady, how long have I been here? And she's like, oh, the surgery took about 2 hours. Rah, rah. I was like, okay then. And at that point, I think for the first 5 minutes of being in recovery, I didn't feel much pain. And then all of a sudden, I started to feel nauseous. And I remember saying something to her funny, like, I see people come out of, after operations and the anesthetic makes them do funny things. And I remember hearing music and I was like looking around and she said to me, what's the matter? And I said, can you hear that man singing? And as I said it, I kind of knew that it was all in my head, and I was kind of giggled and she kind of giggled as well. Knowing that I was just off my head and didn't know what I was talking about. Anyway, and then I started to feel really nauseous. And I was like, I'm going to be sick. And then, so she gave me the spew bag and whatever, and I vomited, which was really weird because I hadn't eaten anything for days. I vomited up bright green bile, and she was like a little concerned about that, but it was fine because usually people tend to get sick after, coming out of an operation. So that was fine. It really hurt my stomach, obviously. And then I said to her, I really need to go to the toilet. Like, I'm busting. I've got a really weak bladder. So I was like, I need something now. I need a bedpan. And she's like, look, we just took a catheter out of you. There's no way that you need to go to the toilet. I was like, no, seriously, I need to go to the toilet now. So I literally filled up the whole bedpan, and she was like surprised that I even went that much. And then after that, she got me to move on to another bed. So then I remember hopping onto the bed, and I remember which wasn't painful, and then I remember putting my head back and her waking me up, putting oxygen on me, and she told me that I needed this oxygen on because every time I'd fall asleep, my oxygen would drop very low. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then the pain kicked in, and it didn't feel right. It felt very painful. Like I had a cesarean with my daughter, and it was like I could have 5 or 10 cesareans and it wouldn't even amount up to the pain that I had with this. And this is like minor compared to a cesarean. So I was just like in so much pain, I can't even explain it. I was in so much pain. So after that, what happened? Oh, by the time I went to a ward, which was a surgical ward or whatever it's called, surgery ward, it was like 7 o'clock, 7:30, maybe even 8 o'clock by the time they got me out of there, and they wanted to put me on another bed. And my mum had come by that time. I couldn't really remember what actually happened between that time. But yeah, so my mum come and they went to move me. So I was in the middle of the ward on my bed, and there's like four beds. So they wanted to move me into this bed. So they put the bed in the middle of the room. They're like, okay, Tamina, we're going to need your help to move you over. And I couldn't because I was in pain. So they moved me onto my side, and I felt like, fuck. The pain I felt was like someone stabbed me in the lung and I couldn't breathe. So I was like, I felt, when I rolled over, it felt like the tube that was actually draining my sight and my stomach from all the yucky stuff that my appendix had leaked in there, had stabbed me up in my lung. So I'd rolled on the side and I was like, literally I couldn't breathe, and I was like and then I was like, I can't breathe, Mum, and I was screaming. I was like, just put me back to sleep, just put me back to sleep, like I just want to go back to sleep, like someone help me. I was screaming out for help because I couldn't breathe, and I was panicking. And then I remember seeing my mum crying and saying, oh, she suffers anxiety, she, that's why she can't breathe. And I was trying to tell Mum, no, like this is not anxiety, like I can't, something's wrong, something's so wrong, something's stabbing me in my stomach, into my lungs. So then this lovely nurse with my mum, they put oxygen back on me. They put these airbag things on my legs which help the pressure so you don't get blood clots or whatever, and they just pump up with air and then they deflate and they massage your calf muscles. So I had them on, which was so distracting. Along with the pain, I couldn't move and I was still busting to go to the toilet. I just peed so much, like I was peeing non-stop. And then this lady and Mum were holding my hands, and I remember they were rubbing my hands and they're like, just breathe, just breathe. So I finally calmed myself down, and they'd give me loads of painkillers again. And they couldn't give me any more because I had way too much. But the pain, I tell you what, was excruciating. So then I said to Mum, look, just go, because I wasn't all with it. And during that night I just cried in pain pretty much, and I just kept on wanting bedpans because I was just weeing so much. I don't know where the wee come from. And I remember one of the nurses saying to me, oh look, like I can't keep on coming in here, you're going to have to get up and go to the toilet, which I was in no state to walk. So she gave me a couple of bedpans, and by the end of it, I know it sounds so gross, but I was like literally sitting in my own wee, because I had to get off the bedpan and I had no one to wipe me, and it was just disgusting. It was just such a horrible experience, but at the time I was in so much pain I just did not give a shit. As long as that I was weeing in a bedpan, I suppose, was, the best that I could do in the situation I was in. So I woke up in the morning and got up out of bed because they said the only way you're going to get better is if you're moving around. So I got up out of bed and I walked to the bathroom, and instantly I was dizzy and nauseous, and the pain to walk is just like, it was like someone had gone into my stomach, pulled everything apart, shaking me up and let me go. It was like everything was detached from where it should be, like I was ruddly, like everything's tender and painful. Just something that I just never expected. Like having your appendix out is meant to be such a minor surgery. For me, it was just horrendous, like worse than having a child, by far. So then the surgeon come in. I'd gotten up to go to the toilet. The surgeon had come in and told me, look, this is what we found. So we found the top of your appendix was pussy and mucky, which inflamed the top, your gallbladder, which inflamed everything around that, which inflamed your lymph nodes in your stomach, which was really weird. He said that could have been due to the flu or a disease or something like that. He said those lymph nodes being enlarged. Then he said he also found 2 cysts on my ovaries, which he left, and they also found blood and fluid in my pelvis area. So all these things they had found So it wasn't as straightforward as I thought it was. So they were exploring a lot in my stomach, which explains the pain that I felt. It wasn't just as straightforward as going in and grabbing the appendix. I also had a bit of an obstruction on my right side as well. My was extended, my bowels extended and clogged up on that same side. So that over that side was just a mess in my stomach. So they told me that. He actually said to me, oh, so do you want to go home today? And I was like, no, there's no way I'm going home today. Like, there's no way. I said to him, can we just wait until tomorrow? So this was a Saturday. So Sunday came, Darren come and visited me, and then he was like, he wasn't expecting for me to go home with him, and they just really wanted me to go to the toilet. Actually, I just remembered another thing. So when on this Saturday, my mum did come back in, and I had a friend of mine, Amanda, she come in as well, and I'd had to drink this stuff to make me go to the toilet, because you can't leave the hospital until you wee and you poo and you're all working. So I had to drink this stuff. So then I got up to go to the toilet. I was so sick, and I walked out to see my mum, and she's like, oh, hi Tamina, like all happy, and I'm like, Mum, just stop. And I was just like, grab me something, and she's like, what? And I'm like, a pillow, because I knew that when I vomited that it was going to really hurt my stomach. So I did, I vomited, and I vomited so much that like the nurse held it up, and she's like, well, we gave you 500 mils of this drink and you've vomited up every mil. So it was kind of funny too. So that was meant to make me go to the toilet in 20 minutes, and it was 2 hours later when I vomited it up, and I hadn't gone to the toilet. So that kind of made them a little worried that there was a blockage. So on the Sunday, going back to the Sunday, Darren come, and I said, look, I just really want to go home now. I was sick, my anxiety was bad, I just wanted to go home. So they're like, look, we'll give you a fleet, which is an enema. I said, yeah, okay then. Does that count as poo if I poo with the fleet? They're like, yep. So had the fleet, went to the toilet, and then I was like, let's go. So they were taking so long because my surgeon was in surgery, and she had to give the okay for me to go home. So me and Darren Googled if we can discharge ourselves, but there's some kind of thing attached to that. If anything goes wrong and I don't get the okay, they won't, like, pretty much refuse care of me because I've left without their okay. So they rang her in surgery, and she said, yep, I can go. So that was awesome. So we went home, and it was just a horrible drive with the bumps and everything, but I will do another part to this once I got home and how everything was then. So yeah, but that was just basically what happened with my surgery. It was, you know, I never ever thought that it would be my appendix, but it was. So yeah, so guys, like, subscribe, share, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you have a bigger idea of what actually happened with me. So I'll see you in our next video. Bye.